Good morning, crafters, and welcome to Technique Tuesday. This is Creative Moments by G, and I'm G, and today we are going to create a floating easel card. So let's hop on down to the crafting table and let's get started. The first thing you will need for this adorable floating easel card is cut your base card, and your base card is simply a one mat card. And remember, all our measurements will be listed over on creativemomentsbyg.com under blog, so you will be able to get the measurements. But this base card is cut at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now, we also need to cut our easel card, and that is going to be cut at 4 by 10 1/2. Now, once you have this cut at 4 by 10 1/2, go ahead and bring in your trimmer because we have some score lines that we need to make. Those score lines are 2 5/8. And you know the quick way to measure 5/8 is it's 1/8 right after a half. So that's the way I always think of it. That's a good little tip. So the first score line is at 2 5/8, and the next score line is at 5 1/4. Now you won't be scoring anymore, so you can put your trimmer aside. Now let's look at that. Fold it down, and then we're going to fold this small one down. So go ahead and take a moment and use your scoring tool to get that scored really well. Now, this is how it's going to sit up, just like this. We cut our base card out of black, and we cut another mat to go over the top of this yellow part right here. So we're going to put it together just like this. But we need to make a few cuts before we can do that. And we also need to decide, are you going to use DSP on these panels, or will you use some embossed folders to create a really pretty mat? That's what we're going to do, because the stamp set that we are using today is Queen Bee. We are going to be floating this beautiful bee. So I went ahead and I cut some panels using our Daffodil Delight cardstock, and now I'm going to run them through our embossing machine. Now the embossing folder that I'm going to use is called the Hive, right? Very appropriate for our floating bee. So let's go ahead and get those in our folder and then run it through the embossing machine. Now look at those beautiful panels. Isn't that gorgeous? Now to give them some dimension, we're going to bring in our blending brush, and we're just going over it just a little bit with our early espresso. Now I'm going to bring in a piece of paper so that we don't get our table messed up. Now because this is a hive, you want to make sure and use it on the debossed side. So let's go ahead and open that up. And we don't want it to be too dark. Just bring in a little bit of dimension. Now, can you see the difference? Yes, so let's go ahead and use our blending brush on this one. And now we can bring in our card again, and we are going to lay those right on the top right here. So let's get our glue. And now you need to decide on your ovals, because we are going to cut out an oval right here in the middle, but we also want to frame it. So you need a larger one, and then we're using a scalloped one. So let's go ahead and put this in our embossing machine and cut out this area. We're just going to pop that out. And there we still have our honeycomb, and it's going to set up just like this. Now let me show you what needs to happen next. We're going to add this to the front of our base card, and then we will be bringing in our red. So let's lay that down. Now we want to go ahead and use one of the stamps from the kit to add a decorative border right here at the bottom. So let's go ahead and grab our memento. This is the border that we'll be using. Look how pretty that is. Now we are ready to add that to the front of this card right on the inside. Now we went ahead and used our ovals, and you can use ovals, squares, circles, and it really all depends on the image that you want to float. But we went ahead and we used our ovals to cut out our frames. And we also cut out a piece of acetate. So we are going to layer our acetate between the two frames. And our black frame will be in the background, and our red frame will then be right here. So let's go ahead and get that laid down. And you are just sandwiching it between the two frames. Now you want to make sure when you lay this acetate down on your frame that you get it right the first time, because if you start moving it, you're going to get some glue on the inside on the acetate, and you have to get that off. Now it comes off with water, but it's just one more step that you have to do. So let's go ahead and get some glue on our top piece for our frame. And there you have it. You have a very small black frame that goes, you can barely see, but you can see it right underneath the scalloped edge. Now, where do you put that? We are going to put this right on the front, right here. So all you have to do for that is simply line this area with a strip or little dots of glue. We are going to line that up and just push it down. Now look at that. We almost have our floating easel card created. Now the next thing you need to do is grab you some smaller ovals or circles or squares, whatever you've used for your sentiment. And we have done a larger black oval and then white, because we are going to stamp hello right on the center right there. And we will be using our memento black. So tap, tap, tap. Now we're going to add this on some dimensionals. And we're just going to put that to the side, because now we want to go ahead and use our stamparatus and stamp that beautiful bee. So we have this all ready. And remember the tip, always put something behind this side, the panel that flips, so that you don't break this binding right here. So we are going to go tap, 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 and stamp. We're not worried how dark it gets the first or second try, because we know we have it in our stamping tool, and we're just going to continue stamping until we get the desired color. Okay. And there we have it. Look how pretty that is. The next thing we want to do is we're going to use our blends and we're going to color the flowers and the leaves that we have. So we've decided to pick a very bright green so that you can see the leaves, and we're just going over them. Now we're going to come in with a color for our flowers and our red heart that we have right here. And we would color all these flowers and then bring in a yellow for the middle of our flowers. Now, we already finished coloring that using those blends. And we have it right here already cut out. Now, something else we did that is a great technique. With this kit comes some dies that you can cut out their wings. And so we went ahead and cut out their wings. We're going to use a glue dot to add them to the body of the bee. So look at this now. How cute is that? Now, whenever you are gluing or you're putting something on this floating easel, you need to use your glue dots because it won't smear like the glue. So make sure that you have some small glue dots that you can add the bee to. And we're going to add him right to the center of this oval so that he appears like he's floating. We're just going to add him right in the center. And look at that. How pretty is that? Now all we need to do is add this, and this acts as the stopper, but you also want it right in the center of your oval. So we're going to grab some glue, put it on the back, start to shut this and just get it centered right there. And then we're not going to push it down just yet. Make sure that we have it centered. Now we can push it down. And now look at this. Now, the way to get this to go down all the way is right here. So you need to bring in your bone folder and really give that a good crease, and then it will stand up perfectly. But that's the area that you really need to make sure that you have creased it really well. Now, the last thing we have to do is simply have a white piece of paper on the back so that we can write our message. So we are going to grab some glue and just add this to the back. And now we have created our floating easel card. Look how pretty that is. Now, I showed you the butterfly before, so pretty. Instead of an embossed folder right here, we put some DSP. Now, one more that I want to show you is look at this. Here we have our card. You open it up and we have some floating flowers right there. That people will say, how do you do that? Well, it's our acetate, right? So here's the back of it. And when you set them down, they look like this. So take a moment, leave a comment. Which is your favorite? We love all these cards. We love this floating easel. It makes such a statement. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. We hope you liked our Technique Tuesday and this floating easel. Go out, make it a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.